I would say that there are two issues that upon which libertarianism are very, very divided: abortion and immigration. And in abortion, you have people like Murray Rothbard, who is pro-choice, and you have Ron Paul, who is pro-life. And they're 180 degrees opposite of each other, and yet the two leaders of the libertarian movement, as far as I can see, are Ron Paul and Murray Rothbard, and yet they're at opposite extremes. So what's that? And I've done a lot of work on that, and I've come up with a compromise position, which we won't discuss now, maybe next time. I call it evictionism, which I think is the only true libertarian view. And now we have a very similar thing. This is why they call me Walter Moderate Block, because I'm the great compromiser on abortion and now immigration. And on immigration, we also have a very, very similar sort of a thing, that you have some very, very eminent libertarians who are open borders. And then you have other libertarians who are, I wouldn't say closed borders, but regulated borders or closed borders, namely that not anti-open borders. Namely, they'll allow some people to come in, maybe a Christian from Syria who is middle class and classical liberal, but not other people. And the most recent thing, and here you have Murray Rothbard, who at one time was open borders in his adulthood, and now toward the end of his life was closed borders. So if a person like Murray Rothbard could change his mind from the one extreme to the other extreme, and you have Hans Hoppe, who is one of the most eminent libertarian theorists, who is a regulated border or a closed border person, and then you have a lot of other people who are open borders people. I am a moderate here. I'm in the middle. I'm open borders, but open borders with a qualification. So let me explain this. Immanuel Kant had this thing called categorical imperative and hypothetical imperative. And what a categorical imperative was an order, like shave off your beard, or change your shirt, or shape up, something like an order. Whereas a hypothetical imperative is, if you want to have a white shirt, you should change your shirt. If you want to be clean shaven, you should shave off your beard. If you want to lose weight, you should stop eating candy. Hypotheticals. Now, my view is a hypothetical. Have open borders. Anyone's allowed anywhere. Now, the objection to that is what's happening in Cologne, Germany, and what's happening in Sweden, where you get a bunch of people who are not only not classical liberals, but have a very interesting view of women. Namely, women are sort of to be subservient and to be rape victims because whatever, they wear Western clothes, so they're asking for it, or I'm not sure what their view is, but what they'll do is 100 of them will surround 2 or 3 women, and they'll grope them and rape them and molest them, and it's just a horrible sort of a thing. And now they're in Cologne, Germany, and Switzerland, or rather Sweden, and other places like that, and they're just creating havoc. And it's easy to say, well, you know, Angela Merkel, you know, should be impeached, and because she's letting them in, and Barack Obama wants to let them in, and we shouldn't let them in. So my view is we should let everyone in. Or the hypothetical, you see, what Hans Hoppe says is, look, he says, there are 3 ways that you can have international engagement. One is a free movement of goods. The other is free movement of people, and the other is the free movement of investment. And what he says is, in the case of the free movement of goods, let's say I export some apples from Louisiana to England, there are 2 people who agree. I, the exporter, agree to a certain price, you, the importer, agree to a certain price, and we have a deal, and it's a mutual agreement. Fine. Now, investment. You want to invest in Chile, and you want to buy a factory there. Well, the factory owner has to agree to sell it to you, and you have to agree to buy it. Or lending. If you want to lend some money from U.S. to, I don't know, Portugal, the lender and the borrower have to agree. And then what Hans says is, but there's something interesting about immigration. A guy from Syria or Burundi just shows up in Switzerland without any buy or leave, without any agreement. And what he says is that's not really freedom. That is rather trespass, or what do you call it, coercive integration. let's leave it at
integration.
Forced integration, coercive integration, or trespass. I think they're synonyms. And Hans says, well, you know, that's not freedom. That's trespass. That's the violation of property rights. So what I say is, if it moves, privatize it. I hate to be repetitive, but I'm going to be repetitive. If it moves, privatize it. If it doesn't move, privatize it. And everything either moves or doesn't move, privatize everything. So I say, if we should have open borders. However, if you don't like the people with different cultures coming into your country, fine. Privatize every square inch of your country. And then they can't come in unless by invitation. And Hans would agree that if you invite them in, then that's fine. But then there'd be two parties who agree, the invitor and the invitee. So some people say that the Cologne and the Germany and the Swedish case are an embarrassment, and they are an embarrassment to the open borders people who don't have this little or privatize everything. I agree, that really knocks them out of the box, but it doesn't lay a glove on my theory. My moderate theory is open borders plus privatize everything. And by everything, I mean everything, every square inch. I mean, in the U.S., I don't know, the middle of Alaska, the middle of Nevada, where it's, or the middle of Wyoming, where nobody goes there, submarginal lands, privatize those. You see, the point is, suppose somebody takes a helicopter, a Chinese guy or a Martian, and I'm talking about people from Mars who've been there for a while, and they take a helicopter and they land in the middle of Nevada or in the middle of Wyoming on the Rocky Mountains or in the middle of Alaska, virgin territory, never been touched, and they start homesteading. What libertarian law did they violate? Now, Hans would say, well, most immigrants don't go there. I don't care. What I think that's irrelevant. The key to me is, look, I have my libertarian eyeglasses, and the libertarian eyeglasses talk about the non-aggression principle. And that's the only thing that libertarians are concerned with as far as law is. Do you or do you not violate property rights or rights of other people? And if some guy starts homesteading in the middle of Wyoming and the Rocky Mountains, whose right is he violating? But I say, not only should you privatize that stuff, but you should privatize every road, every inch of the Mississippi River, every park. I'm in Loyola University. I'm about a quarter of a mile away from Audubon Park, which is, I don't know, several hundred acres of park. Privatize that sucker. Because if a Martian or a Chinese guy lands in the middle of Audubon Park and starts homesteading it, he's a hero. He's a good guy because he's converting public property into private property. Now, Hans has this view that, you know, somehow the government should stop people from doing that, or it's owned by all of us. Well, most people, you ask the next 100 people that walk by Audubon Park, do you think it should be privatized? Unless you get one libertarian, they're all going to say no. So to summarize my view on immigration, I'm an open borders, private property kind of person. And I say, leave open all the borders and then privatize everything, and then we won't have any problem of Cologne, Germany, or of Sweden, or of anybody coming in, or, you know, a million Martians coming in and overturning our culture. We can have our cake and eat it.
I like that very much.